Om Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So as always, we begin with the letter of the alphabet that we are newly discovering today. We have almost finished all the vowels. A, I, U, R, L, E, O, Ah. So now is the last one today. I'm not sure if you can see this. Yeah, like this I think it is better to see. Yeah. So it is an A and two dots next to it. And this is called Visarga. Ah. The way to pronounce Visarga is a little bit controversial because nowadays in India it is always pronounced a little bit with a repetition of the previous sound. So, for instance, the word Namaha, we say nowadays in modern pronunciation of Sanskrit, we often say Namaha, right? We say Krishnaya Namaha, and there's this aha or Harihi Om when we chant Harihi Om. But the original way of pronouncing this is in fact just Namah. So it is a very soft sound, and this is called Visarga. Visarga means to expel air, to release the prana. Prana is the life energy in our body, the life force. And Sanskrit is structured in such a way that when we pronounce it properly, there is a certain effect on our subtle body. And one of these is to pronounce the Visarga properly. When it is pronounced properly, then there is a certain effect in the body where our life force, our life energy becomes more active and more energized. So it is better to say Namah than Namaha, like it is done nowadays. But this doesn't mean that you should now go to your local priests and say that the Sanskrit teacher said you're all doing it wrong, because that's not nice. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Don't create a misunderstanding, but buddhi bheda means to divide the minds of people. Don't do that. But here you are learning it properly. So, Namah Parvati Pataye, not Namaha Parvati Pataye. Namah Parvati Pataye. Yes? Can you all repeat after me at home? Namah, Namah, Namo Namah.
Om Namah Parvati Pataye Namah.
Namah. Try to say the properly. And you can also contract your stomach muscles just a little bit when you pronounce it. Namah. Just slightly contract. It is like you're pushing up the energy a little bit from the stomach, just slightly. Namah. Yeah? And when you do this a lot, in your chanting, when you do this, you will start to feel that it actually energizes you. It's almost like an inner workout. But of course, it doesn't replace your outer workout. Usually, Pandits like us, we are quite podgy. So we're not, apparently Sanskrit is not enough of a workout, right? So you have to also do an outer workout, but it really energizes us. A lot of people say that, isn't it? That when you've chanted a lot of Sanskrit, Or also Pali. Pali is the Buddhist form of Sanskrit. It's very similar. No matter which, both is similar. When we chant a lot of that, we actually feel energized. And this is when we do it properly, not when we chant, like then it becomes tiring and boring. But when we do it properly, it really gives us more energy. So when you learn it properly, it really makes a difference. All right. So now I'll tell you some of the meanings of ah. For those who haven't joined this class before, every Sanskrit letter from the vowels to the consonants have a vast range of meanings. This doesn't make sense to someone who only knows English or Hindi or French or German. It doesn't make sense. How can a letter have many meanings? But it is like that in Sanskrit and also in Hebrew, interestingly. That, for instance, the letter A, which is called Aleph in Hebrew, has many meanings. It's not just a letter. Similarly, in Sanskrit, the letters have many meanings. And last time, we covered the sound, known as the Anunasika, the sound, which comes at the end of the syllable Om. And today, we cover the Ah sound. So, Ah has one meaning, Purnamrita, that means complete nectar. The complete nectar that arises from the divine moon, which is in our inner chakra system. Those of you who know a little bit about yoga might have heard of chakras, and above in our uppermost chakra, there is a moon. And when our inner energies are properly activated, then this moon begins to release what is called Amrita. Amrita is nectar, and this invigorates us and it gives us an inner bliss, an inner joy, which is not a joy of the senses. It is not an ordinary type of joy. It is not the joy that you get from eating laddus or chocolate or barfi or other things, or drinking anar juice, whatever else gives you joy. This is a very subtle kind of joy. It's the joy that is felt in meditation when suddenly there's a sense of expansion, suddenly there is a sense of blissfulness. It is actually this inner nectar that is beginning to become active. And this is known as Purnamrita, and an abbreviated form of it is just Ah. Just the sound Ah, which we are learning about today. Another meaning of Ah is...
sorry to interrupt. Vedant has a doubt on the nectar thing. I think he wants to ask.
Please, yes, please, Vedant.
The Amrita can make people immortal.
Very good. Yes, you're right.
Cut, it'll just heal off quickly.
You're right, yes. So someone who is totally perfect, a supreme yogi, actually becomes immortal because of that Amrita. You're right. Very good. Absolutely. But unfortunately, nowadays, that is not seen so much. I haven't really seen them in London yet. But it is possible for sure, yes. But you see, there are many forms of this. And the initial one is that we feel joy in our heart because of this Amrit. So now another meaning of Ah is simply willpower. Ichha Shakti, the power of will. There are 3 types of Shaktis, and I've talked about these in the past. And Ichha Shakti is one of them. The others are Jnana Shakti, the power of knowledge or the power of wisdom. We can have a lot of willpower, but when we don't have the knowledge needed, then the willpower becomes an extreme. Then it sort of goes into the wrong direction, because we can't actually do something much if we have only the will, but not the knowledge, not the expertise. And the third power is known as Kriya Shakti, the power of implementing, the power of the action. So there are many people who have the Ichha Shakti, the willpower, and they also have the Jnana Shakti, the power of expertise or knowledge, but somehow strangely they lack the Kriya Shakti, the power of implementing, the power of doing it. And I can very openly confess here, I am exactly one of those people. I have the Ichha Shakti and the Jnana Shakti, but almost zero Kriya Shakti. Almost zero. Really, it is sometimes it goes to zero and even further down. Below zero even. So people need to push me to do things. If it went according to me, this class would already be, we'd do it once or twice and then it's finished, So people have to push me constantly. They have to give me coffee, they have to push me that I actually do something. So that's a big fault. It's a big problem. Whereas others, I know that many among you have a lot of Kriya Shakti. But then perhaps some of you are lacking on the Jnana Shakti side. Yeah, so perhaps you're just doing too much and you are not contemplating about it. You're not acquiring the necessary knowledge. And then I'm sure that some of you also lack in Ichha Shakti, the willpower, wanting to do, where you are a little bit tamasic, this is called. Tamasic is the quality of being a little bit inert, of being a little bit sort of, I wouldn't say maybe lazy, but sort of a little dull. Yes, and that's a lack of Ichha Shakti. Now someone asks, can we do something about this? Yes, one is of course a change in our lifestyle, a change in the eating habits. When we eat very healthily, it actually changes something. A change in our physical habits, to do more yoga, to engage in physical yoga, in pranayama. This changes a lot. Nowadays I do more pranayama and I feel really it gives me more energy. So now I'm doing more sessions again, as you can see. When I don't do pranayama, then I'm just like this. So there is a change in lifestyle, really changes it, really transforms something, absolutely. Now we'll continue. Another meaning of is auspicious, good. Bhadra is the word. When there's this sense of Shubha that you all know, more or less, when you go to a temple or when you connect to a deity or to a mantra, you sense this sudden, even if it's very subtle, you sense this sudden uplifting energy, very subtle. This is what we call, bahut shubh. It is very shubha. This is also known as Bhadra. And again has this meaning.
Acharyaji?
Yes?
Sorry, a question.
Sure.
These are the meanings of the word, the letter aha.
Just the letter yes.
But it can't be used to express these words. If you were to read a sentence and if it said aha, could it mean any of these emotions or?
You see now, this is where it gets very subtle. Gets very subtle. Ancient Sanskrit texts often have many layers. And there's an outer meaning that can be something quite different. And then in the inner meaning, one of these will apply. And that is why you need not for the outer meaning, you don't need an explanation from some teacher, but for the inner meaning of many mantras and many ancient verses, you actually need a teacher to explain it to you. You need someone very wise to tell you, this is the meaning here. This is also why when some of the Western people in the 19th century, when they discovered Sanskrit, and they didn't really work with great teachers, they just thought, we're going to translate the Vedas. And then they started translating. And if you look at some of these translations, they are totally meaningless because they're just looking at outer meanings. They're not looking at the inner meanings, and they don't know how to translate those. So some of it is totally meaningless and even very funny, actually. So my good friend Siddharth and myself, sometimes we laughed tears when we read some of the translations that were prepared of the ancient Vedic hymns. because it makes no sense at all. So yes, madam, you're right that some of these meanings will apply, but they come in the deeper, more subtle meaning, and you need a teacher to help you understand it.
That's the reason.
How could they be used?
Sorry, madam, how could they be used? Well, simply as a secret code, if you like. So if you know Sanskrit quite well and you want to have a secret code, you can use these meanings and just you and your friend know what you're saying.
Is that the reason, Acharyaji, the Bija mantras are always said that it should be given by the Guru because
Exactly.
of the subtle meanings?
Exactly, absolutely. So Bija mantras are syllables, seed syllables, very subtle, energetic mantras that contain a lot of power, Shakti. And the meaning of the Bija mantras is not meaningless at all. It's very subtle, and it uses exactly these meanings which we have been talking about here. And it is absolutely, in our traditions, it is totally useless to just read it in a book. Pustake tustita vidya parahastagatam dhanam. See, this just popped up from somewhere. It is in one of the texts, I don't remember which one, that the knowledge that is only in the book is like the wealth in the hand of another. So it is not your wealth. So you have to receive it from the teacher, from the Guru, absolutely, with the explanation. So then let's do a few more, then we go to...
So nicely.
Sorry?
Thank you for explaining so nicely.
No problem. So we will just go through a few more meanings. I can't even cover all of them. Another meaning of aha is rati. Rati means the love enjoyment, the enjoyment of love. So the deep, deep enjoyment of love is known as rati. Another meaning is vidya. Vidya means knowledge or wisdom, insight. One of my names is Vidya Bhaskara, as you probably know. So you can also call me Bhaskar now, right? Because Vidya is aha. So Tusharji shows us the love, the heart. Perhaps some lady will feel inspired by Tusharji to...
Is Bhaskar meaning is Surya?
Bhaskar means Surya. Yes, that's right. And then we have another meaning, Sukham, which means simply joy or pleasure. Another meaning of aha. And then the meaning Shakti, which is energy. And that is what comes when we pronounce the properly. It is also used as a meditation syllable. In fact, in some of the yogic texts, they advise us just to meditate on to pronounce it loudly, not shouting it, but to pronounce like this. And that this gives energy, Shakti, as I mentioned before. And then we'll just give one more meaning of the many, many meanings. Maheshwara is Shiva, and the Vijnana Bhairava is a text about Lord Shiva. It says that if we meditate on as Shiva, as Maheshwara, then a flood of wisdom or a flood of knowledge overcomes our inner being like a flood of light. The text says Jnanoga, like a flood of jnana comes into our heart when we meditate on Maheshwara as the syllable in our heart. So these were just a few meanings. Now we will go back to grammar. You remember, we have been talking about sandhis. So this is where some of you think, oh no, not again. But this is part of Sanskrit. So let us go back to our chart here. Some of you were confused about how to read this chart. So I will help you again. I will repeat this. For those who know it already, I'm sorry, we have to repeat it because not everyone understood. And I also agree that this chart is not so well done. Right? This is one of our lack of Kriya Shakti. the lack of implementation that we don't know how to make charts. If any one of you knows how to improve this chart, you can please do it. So up to here, you find the vowels with which a word would end. So for instance, the word Shiva ends with the vowel A, Shiva. The word Radha ends with the vowel A, Radha. Can anyone think of a word ending in short I in Sanskrit?
Kali.
Sorry?
Kali.
Kali is not a short I, it's a long I.
Okay.
Kali, because it's a feminine word, Strilinga, so it's Kali is a long I, like Mahalakshmi, Devi, yes? But can anyone think of a Sanskrit word ending in a short I?
Prithvi?
No. Prithvi is also long I. Prithvi. Yes,
Indra.
Tusharji, yes?
Samiti.
Preeti? Yes.
Yeah.
Preeti is a short I. Very good. And Samriddhi, someone said. Samriddhi is also short I. Very good. And then, just one more example. Anyone can think of a Sanskrit word ending in a short U?
Uma.
Sorry?
Uma.
No, ending in a short U, not beginning. Look at the chat here. Tu. Someone says tu. Oh, okay, yeah, very good. Tu means but in Sanskrit. Yes, very good. So tu, fine. So now you've understood what we mean by the word ending vowel. So the word ending in that vowel, yes? Now, when we talk about the next word beginning, we're only talking about this here. This part here now. Can someone give me an example of a word beginning with the letter I in Sanskrit?
Icha.
Icha, right? We just had that example. Icha, very good. So now, the Santi rule and the way to use this chart is as follows. When a word ends in a vowel, for example, the vowel A, like Shubha, the word Shubha ends in the vowel A, and the next word begins with the vowel I, the way to use this chart is to see where do these two vowels meet in this chart. Can someone see it? Where do they meet? So you bring this one together with this one. Ah, yeah, someone told me I can use the to draw here.
Brighter, yeah.
So, all right. So then you look, where do this one and this one meet? Now this looks terrible. I have to delete it afterwards. Where do they meet? In this box, they meet here, yeah? A. So that means when the A in Shubha meets the I in Icha, the A and the I, they meld together and become A. And then the result is Shubhecha. Is that clear? It is like mixing two colors. When you mix the color, I'm not good at this actually, I never went to school. When you mix the color blue with the color yellow, which color do you get?
Green.
Green, right? So similarly, when you mix the letter A with the letter I, the result is A. This is called Sandhi. I know that many of you have understood this, but we have to really get this right now, okay? And then we'll never talk about it again for the rest of our lives. So now, similarly, if I ask you, there is the word Preeti. Someone said Preeti. So it begins with E. Sorry, it ends with E. Now I said the wrong thing. It ends with E. There's the word Preeti. And there is the word Ishvara, the Lord of Preeti. Preeti means joyful love, delight. Preeti and Ishvara. Where do these two boxes meet? Priti and Ishvara. Can someone tell me?
Priteshwar.
They meet?
Priteshwar.
No,
Prit-
no, no. The question is, where do the two boxes meet? Yes?
Priteshwara.
No, 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 no.
Pritishwara.
Pritishvara. Pritishvara.
Priteshwar.
So you have to see, where does this box and this box come together in the chart? Then you see here. So let's practice more of this to make sure you get it. Supposing you have the word guru, very important word, and the next word begins with uttama. Uttama means the utmost or the supreme.
Gurotma.
Sorry?
Gurotma.
No, 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 no. Please, no guessing. The chart is right here in front of you. No guessing. But
Guru. Guru.
no, 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 no. There is no or. All you need to do is you need to see, where do these two boxes come together? Guru and Uttama, they come together in this box. And this letter is
Ru.
Guru-tama. Yes?
Uttama.
So Guru followed by Uttama becomes Guru-tama. Very important. Okay?
Acharya ji, here
Yes.
because Gurottama is, I think, as per our Hindi rules, Sandhi, I think
No,
that's what
no,
it
it's
is.
not. It's not Mahalakshmi ji. What you mean is Purushottama.
Okay, all right.
No, the word is not Gurottama in Hindi.
Okay, so is by the way, otherwise, because it just felt natural that when everybody was saying Gurottama, like, felt
But
natural.
that's only because of Purushottama. But now please look. Purushottama is which? What letter? What vowel does the first word end with? Purusha, not Purushu, right?
Right,
It is
right.
Purusha Uttama. Now you do the same exercise again. Purusha Uttama. Where do the two boxes meet?
Oh,
They meet where the O is. Yes?
okay. And will the Sandhi be in Sandhis in Hindi will be same as Sandhis in
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hindi has no life of its own. Hindi is a
Right.
child of Sanskrit. There are no separate Sandhi rules in Hindi or any language in India for that matter. Right? They are all children of Sanskrit. So, and if there is a different Sandhi in Hindi, then it is simply sort of, we call it apabhramsha. Apabhramsha means, sort of corrupted. It is corrupted.
Is that like Mundokya Upanishad? Where it's-
Mandukya.
The other one, sorry, there's Mandukya and then there's
Mundaka.
Mundaka, yeah.
So yes, Trushaji, let's do that exercise. There are two words, Mundaka and Upanishad.
Yeah.
The first one ends with which vowel? If I say Mundaka,
Oh, the Kano,
In-
the first one, yeah.
and the second word begins with Upanishad.
Upanishad.
So we do the same exercise. We see, where do they come together? Mundaka,
Yeah, the O.
again the O.
O.
So then they merge together, and what is the correct Sandhi then? Mundaka Upanishad becomes
Mundoko
no
Upanishad.
Mundako
Mundoko.
Upanishad. Yeah. Similarly, with every Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, Isho Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Kathopanishad. Yes? Now let's practice this with your own names. You all have, most of you have Sanskrit-based names. So if we have Mahalakshmi, it ends with which letter? Obviously, right? Mahalakshmi with E. And supposing now, I'll make it a little bit more difficult now. Supposing the next word begins with A. Now everyone has to focus more because so far we only covered the upper vowels here. But what about A? Can anyone think of a Sanskrit word beginning with A?
Something like Namaste.
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya, excellent. Beginning with A, Mahalakshmiji, not ending with A. Tasyai, yes, but beginning with. Correct. So, Aishwarya, your favorite actress, right? So, Aishwarya. So then you have, now all you need to do is you need to follow the rule we said. So you have Mahalakshmi and Aishwarya. Where do the two meet? You tell me.
Yai.
They meet in the box Yai. Yes? And all you need to do now is Mahalakshmi Yaishwarya.
Yai.
Is that somehow clear? Mahalakshmiyaishwarya. You just need to follow the chart very literally and you will always get it right.
Shastriji,
Yes.
sorry, Acharyaji, a little different request.
Sure.
The line with all the r sound,
Hmm.
they're very hard to read when I try to read it on my own. Would it be possible to just read through that line from up to down?
You're talking about this one here.
Yes. How to say it out. I just don't know how to read those.
Okay. So this letter is pronounced as r, r,
R,
r, like in rishi,
r.
rishi. And when a word ends with r, like matri, for instance, matri means mother, or pitri means mother, it ends with r. And for instance, the next word begins with, let us make it a little easier. Let's say it begins with atma. So atma. So we have the word ending in r, matri, and atma. Then don't get confused, just follow the chart. You see, if you follow the chart, you can never go wrong. Matri and Atma. And where do they meet here? Matri and Atma?
Ra.
Ra. So then?
Matratma.
Great, Trisharji. Great. You got it, Trisharji. Now you can go to Starbucks. You got it. You understood, Trisharji. Excellent.
Thank you.
That's exactly what we need to do.
Is
Great.
it Matratma? Or
Matratma. Yes, no, it is Matratma. Yes.
So we will use the word, the letter Tra.
Then you will use tra. Correct. Yes.
Acharyaji, a
Yes.
burning question. Actually,
Yes.
sorry, I've had for a while. Why in Sanskrit and sometimes in Gujarati and I believe maybe in Punjabi as well? Why is the rishi not a vowel? Like it just seems really out of place as a vowel.
Yes, this is a very valid question because it sounds like a consonant, right?
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like a consonant. So the answer here is usually we defer to Panini. We say, we cheat. We say, well, Panini said it. So it is, we sort of defer it that since Panini said it, it is like that. However, that's not a very sort of a cheating answer. What I can tell you is we know that in Vedic Sanskrit already, it was pronounced as a vowel. We know that from the chandas. Chandas means the meter. The meter, like we have Anushtup Chanda, Trishtup Chanda, there are different meters in the Vedas. Anushtup Chanda not so much, but Trishtup Chanda is there. Jagati, Gayatri is one of the meters. And from those meters, there are very specific rules that tell us in this place in the meter, you can only place a vowel and ri appears in that place. So we know that already in Vedic times, it was used as a vowel. But Tusharji, I totally agree with you that somehow saying that r is a vowel is a little strange because shouldn't a vowel be only a, I, u, and then a, o, right? I totally agree with you. Absolutely. So there is, from a modern English grammar point of view, it looks a little strange. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Please, sir. Please.
It's about and aha.
Yes.
Two vowels are missing from this chart. Is
Yes.
that a reason for it?
Yes, because in contrast to these, those are not really vowels, in fact. They are endings for vowels. They are endings with which a vowel can conclude. So that is why the is called anunasika. It is called that which follows through the nose, follows a vowel. But it has become a convention to add them to the vowel system when we recite the alphabet, right? We say a, I, and then we say aha.
Aha.
But they're
Yeah.
not really vowels. In the Paninian system, they're not vowels. Okay? They are things that are added to vowels. Maybe that's why we put them in the context of vowels. All right, let's continue. Maybe one more example, then we go back to our cases. I know that everyone, this must be quite strenuous for you, but without, you see, Sandhi, this principle of Sandhi, this is the door to Sanskrit. This is really the threshold. If you don't get this door, then you will go somewhere, but not into Sanskrit. You know, you will go to Hyde Park or into, I don't know, Wales, but you won't enter Sanskrit. This is the issue. So we need to get this right. So let's do one more. What if we have the word prati? So prati ends in a short e. And the next word is uttara. It begins with an u. Where do they meet here in this chart? Prati?
You.
They meet in the box U.
Pratyuttara.
Pratyuttara.
So then it's pratyuttara. Yeah? Pratyuttara means a response. Prati, uttara, pratyuttara. Then let us say a word ends with a long R. Maha. Maha means great or big. Maha. And the next word begins with rishi. Rishi. Maha and rishi, where do they meet?
Maharshi.
Yes, they meet in ar. That is why Maha and Rishi becomes Maharshi. Yeah?
Ramana Maharshi.
Like Ramana, Maharshi. And in fact, it is grammatically wrong to say Maharishi. It is not Maharishi, it is Maharshi. Yeah? Very good. And then, let's do one more of that. Let us say you have the word Raja. Raja means king. And also the word Rishi. Where do they meet?
Rajarshi.
Rajarshi. Right? We don't say Rajarshi. We say Rajarshi. So this chart, my dears, is absolute. There is nothing. This is for all Sanskrit words. Okay? Then
So what will happen if a word ends with or
then we will have a different chart, my dear. So,
okay.
so this is only for these sounds. It is only for the vowels. That is then called Visarga Sandhi. That is a different chart, and we will go through that chart too. But first, I just want you to fully understand the use of this chart. Now, can I ask, is there anyone out there who has not understood the use of this chart? Please don't feel embarrassed to say so. I can continue. Then you could ask what you haven't understood and we could clarify it.
Acharya ji, namaste. This
Yes.
is Manisha.
Namaste, Manisha ji.
I absolutely understood the chart,
Okay.
but is there somewhere I can download this chart? I'm sorry, I'm attending for the first time.
Yes, we sent it to the WhatsApp group before, but I can send it to. We can put it either on the website or if you.
I'll join the WhatsApp group.
You could
I'll find
join the
link.
WhatsApp group, and then we will just post it again in the group.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so you understood, everyone. Excellent. Now let us go again to the cases, and this is another. The cases are another case that we need to clarify, because I also feel that not everyone has understood the principle of the cases. So let us also clarify that. We still have some time. So here you see again the cases for the word Rama. This is the one we usually begin with in Sanskrit. Sanskrit has 7 cases. The first case answers the question who does something. Ramaha gacchati. Rama is going. The second case answers the question whom, the object. Kisko in Hindi. Ramam pashyami. Pashyami means I see. Whom do I see? Ramam pashyami. The third case answers the question with whom or through whom. This is the Hindi se, Ram se or Ram ke dwara, Ram se. So for instance, Ramena Lakshmana gacchati. Lakshmana is going with Rama. And then we have the fourth case, which is answering the question to whom. So the actual movement from me or someone else to someone else. Like the very well-known mantra, Namah Shivaya. Namah means a prostration. To whom does that prostration go, or to whom is it directed? Shivaya, to Shiva. Similarly, Namah Ramaya or Namo Narayanaya. This is the fourth case. The fifth case is the opposite of the fourth case. The fifth case answers the question, Kahan se? From where? Ramat. For instance, Vrikshaha means tree, Vrikshat means from the tree, Phalam, the fruit, Patati. The fruit falls from the tree. The sixth case answers the question whose. It's called the genitive case. Ramasya Patni Sita. The wife or spouse of Rama is Sita. And finally, the last case, the seventh case, answers the question where. In what or on what? Rame means in Rama. Rame mama sukham asti. In Rama is my joy. So this is just a quick repetition of the cases. Now, the second column is the so-called dual. Supposing there are 2 Ramas. Now for the word Rama, 2 Ramas maybe doesn't make so much sense, but what if this word here were Balaha? Balaha means child. Balaha, Balo, Balaha. Then you have 1 child, 2 children, many children. Balam, Balo, Balan. If you want to say, I see many children, you say Balan Pashyami. Similarly, here is the dual for the third case and the plural of the same. Baleihi Gacchami. I'm going with the children. And maybe one more example. Balanam Krida. Krida means the play or the sport. The play of the children. Balanam Krida. For the 6th case.
Acharya ji,
Yes.
for Bala Nam, it will be just Na, not
Yes.
Na,
Yes.
right?
This is a special Santi rule because there is a Ra here. Whenever a Ra precedes the Na, then the Na becomes Na.
Oh, it's like the magical split diagram in English. Okay.
Yes, yes. But don't worry about that now. You don't need to know that now. But that is a very technical point. There is a Panini rule called Atkupvang Num Vyavayeti, which tells us how this happens. So don't.
But in general, all the other nouns would be having Na.
Normal Na, yes.
Normal Na.
Balanam, yes. And now, what we've also already done in the previous sessions is we have looked at other types of words, not only words like Rama, Shiva, Bala, which end in A. As you know, there are many other words too. For instance, last time we practiced the... No, I don't have it here. Of course, here we go. I'm not so good technically. Here we go. Ah ending words like Radha, which are feminine. Here again, you have the cases. The same 7 cases. Again, you have in this column the singular. Here you have two or dual, and here you have plural or many. But the form is quite different. Only in the second case, it looks the same a little bit. Ramam looks the same as Radham. Otherwise, they look quite different. So, with time, you need to learn these, or you need to at least be aware of them, so that when you see Radha Bhihi, you know, oh, this means with the many Radhas. Similarly, we had the example of Devi Bhihi, and Manisha ji, all these charts we will again post in the WhatsApp group, if you like.
Thank you so much, Acharya ji.
No problem, no problem. So similarly, Devi Bhihi, with the goddesses, right? Third case means with, but here this is plural, so Devi Bhihi means with the goddesses. Devishu, in the goddesses. Devyai Namaha, Namaha to Devi. So having repeated this, let us go to a story again. Oh yes, and I'm sorry, the new one I wanted to share today is the ending neuter ones. Phalam. Phalam means fruit. Only the first 2 cases are different. The rest is exactly like Rama. Phalam, phale, phalani, phalam, phale, phalani. Very simple to learn. And then the rest is exactly like Rama. Phalena, phalabhyam, phalehi, phalaya, phalabhyam. So now that you have it here, the charts, let's go to the story.
Can I ask you a question?
Please, please.
When Aditya ji was teaching in Croydon, we used a book called a Sanskrit manual.
Okay.
In this, regarding the cases, we have 8 cases.
Yes.
And in that time, he was teaching the nominative, accusative and all.
Yes, yes.
This one is subject, then to, by, for, from, of, on, in, oh God, something like that. Is it the same or slightly different?
It's the same. The only thing is that in our Sanskrit system, which is known as the Paninian system, we don't speak of 8 cases. There is no Ashtami Vibhakti. And this is what you mean is the Sambodhana, the vocative case, isn't it? So, He Rama, when we call out to Rama, then some people call this a case. But in Sanskrit grammar, we don't call it a case. We call it Sambodhana. Sambodhana means to call out, to evoke somebody. So what you mean, sir, I mean, what Aditya ji taught you and what we are sharing here is exactly the same. The only difference is that we don't call that a case. We don't call it a vibhakti. That's why we speak of the 7 vibhaktis. We don't speak of an ashtami. Ashtami means the 8th. We don't speak of an ashtami vibhakti. We only speak of a saptami vibhakti, shashti vibhakti, panchami vibhakti, chaturthi vibhakti, tritiya vibhakti, dvitiya and prathama vibhakti. Yes, sir?
Okay, thank you.
But the rest is the same. Yes.
Thank you.
So now let's very quickly, let us just for a moment look at this story here. And I'll help you again. The first sentence, Ayodhya Nagare. Nagare is from the word Nagaram. And the word Nagaram is declined like Phalam. Now, can anyone think which case could Nagare be? Of course, it could be this one here, but there are not 2 Nagaras, right? There's only 1 Nagara. So then which case is it if you look at only the singular?
7th.
7th case. And the seventh case is used for which meaning?
Nagare.
It's used for the meaning of in, right? It answers the question where. So then we have Ayodhya Nagare. What does that mean?
In Ayodhya Nagari.
In Ayodhya city. In the city Ayodhya. Yes? Then we have Vasishtha Munihi. Now, we don't have a chart for Munihi, but I can tell you it is similar to Ramaha. Munihi is simply first case. Yeah? So, this is the nominative case here. Vasishtha Munihi. And now we have the word Balebhyaha. Sorry, I'm not so good here. Yeah, here you can see. We have the word Balebhyaha. Balebhyaha. Where in the chart do you find something similar to Balebhyaha? What case could it be?
4 or 5.
4 or 5?
4, 3, because 2.
Yes, 4, 3. 3 means the plural, correct. So it is one of these two. So we have either the meaning to the children or from the children. And now we have to apply it in context. Now we have the verb here, vadati. Does anyone remember the meaning of the verb vadati?
Speak.
To speak.
To speak, yeah.
So it means he speaks. Who speaks?
Vasishtha.
Vasishtha Munihi, because this is the nominative case. Vasishtha Munihi, vadati. And then, what do you think now? What case is Balebhyaha? Is it 4 or 5?
4, 3.
4. To whom does he speak? To the children. Balebhyaha. And where does he say it? Ayodhya Nagari. Now, would someone like to try the translation?
Vasishtha Muni spoke to children in Ayodhya Nagar.
Spoke to the children, or speaks rather, because Vadati is the present tense, in Ayodhya Nagara. So Vasishtha Muni speaks to the children in Ayodhya Nagara. I hope this is clear. Can do one more sentence. What does he speak? Yada chitte raga dvesha vega vahati tada samsarat mukti na sambhavati. Now remember, don't jump to guessing the meanings. Then you are like those people who translate but don't know the meaning, right? Go very literal. Only after you've fully understood the grammatical meaning of each word, then you should attempt the translation. Does anyone remember yada, dada? Yada, dada.
When, yada, when, whenever.
When, then.
Yeah, then.
Like in Hindi we say jab, tab, isn't it? Yada, dada. Now you have the word chitte here. And again, chitte.
7, 1.
It's the seventh case. Chitte is again like phalam. It is from the word chittam. Those who know the Yoga Sutras, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga means the cessation of the movements of chitta. Chitta is the mind. Chittam is like phalam, phala. So then you see there is one chitta, not 2 or 3. So then you think again, what case is chitta? And you find the one that corresponds. Chitte. So you look here, chitte. Ah, there we go. Phale, chitte. 7th case. So then what does chitte mean?
In the heart.
In the heart or in the mind. So when in the mind. Raga, dvesha, vega. So now we only look at the last word for the case. We go back to
1, 1.
1, 1.
Vegaha. So we see Vegaha. Ah, that is like Ramaha. Oh, it is the first case. And does anyone know the meaning of the word Vega?
Fast. Veg means fast, but I think Raga, Dvesha, Vegaha means the context changes here. It's like full of hatred and
Vega is the force, actually. It is the force, the energy. And what you mean, Mahalakshmiji, is that in Hindi, Veg, because of the fast energy, it takes on the meaning of fast. But you see, the time period when Hindi came up and when Sanskrit came up is thousands of years. So the meaning in Sanskrit is a little different than in Hindi.
So is it like the Greek Vega, and then in volatility, like the symbol Vega as well in Greek, ancient Greek?
I'm actually not sure. What does Vega mean in Greek?
So it's like volatility is another sort of, in finance it means volatility. Anyway, it's from the symbol, which is a Greek and Latin symbol for Vega, which is sort of disparity, like lots of differences.
It could be. I don't like to say things I'm not sure about. It could be. We could look it up. Sure. So now Vega means the force of Raga and Dvesha. Raga means attachment or desire, and Dvesha is the opposite of that. It means aversion. It means not wanting. Yada chitte, when in the mind, the force of Raga and Dvesha. And now the next verb is vahati. What do you think vahati could be?
Flowing.
To flow.
Behna.
Vadati, to speak. Vahati, to flow. In Hindi, you have the similar verb exactly. So, yada chitte raga dvesha vega vahati. This is the first part of the sentence. Who would like to try a translation?
when in the mind, when in the mind there is a lot of desire and also
Hatred.
When you have Vashishta,
So you could say, when, very literally we would say, when the force of attachment and aversion flow in the mind. Yeah? Go very literally. We will finish in just 1 or 2 minutes. Let's just finish this sentence. Tada. So we have yada, tada. When, then. Now you look at the word samsarat. Samsarat. There is only one samsara, fortunately, not many, but it's a big samsara. Then you see here, and Balmukunji said 5, 1, singular, 5th case, singular, Ramat, samsarat. And remember, the 5th case has the sense of from. So samsarat means from samsara. Samsara is the repetitive wheel of birth, getting older, getting illnesses like my back pain, and then finally leaving this world and again being reborn. Then from samsara, muktihi. Muktihi is also, we don't have it in the chart for you yet, but it is like munihi, feminine word, but it is also first case. So it is 1, 1, and then finally we have na sambhavati. Here the verb is sambhavati. I'm sure from Hindi you can guess what sambhavati means.
not possible. Possible, not possible. No.
Correct. And sambhavati means to be possible, and na sambhavati means it is not possible. What is not possible?
Mukti.
Mukti na sambhavati. So now we have the full sentence. You can. Who would like to attempt a nice literal translation? Yada chitte raga dvesha vega vahati tada samsarat mukti na sambhavati.
When there is a raga dvesh in our mind, there is no freedom from the life cycle.
Correct. Yeah. When the force of raga dvesha, of attachment and aversion, flows in the mind, then there is no freedom from samsara, from the wheel of birth, old age, sickness, death. Right? This is how Sanskrit works. Now, with time, let me give you... Yes.
Can you translate raga dvesha vega once more?
the force of attachment and aversion.
Attachment and aversion.
Aversion. Or dvesha can also be translated as hatred, sure, but in the yogic texts, it is more, it is usually, hatred is a very strong aversion, right? It's a very strong form of aversion. But raga dvesha in the yogic texts is simply defined as wanting, being attached, or the opposite of that, which is not wanting, pushing away.
So that's
yes?
the eligibility for this mukti, isn't it? That's the first stepping stone for mukti, for the detachment.
Yes, but this is really what it comes down to, that as long as these two forces are there, as long as these two forces, there is no mukti. That is what it comes down to. And
we have to have only one, as per this your meaning, context here. We have to have only one, that is the detachment only.
No, neither. We should have neither the attachment nor the opposite, which is the aversion, dislike. Neither like nor dislike towards any experience. Yes?
It's all duality, isn't it?
That is the duality, yes. As long as these two...
you have duality, you can't have liberation.
Correct. As long as these two are there is no liberation, there is no freedom. There will always be some trouble. Some 100%, some trouble will come.
That Mahalakshmiji transcending the likes and dislikes.
Yes. Right? That is the big task.
Likes and dislikes. Okay, all right. Okay.
आचार्य जी,
Yes.
अब ऐसे भी कह सकते हो कि जब तक हमारे मन में राग द्वेष चलते रहते हैं, बहते रहते हैं, तब तक संसार से मुक्ति संभव नहीं है.
बिल्कुल. ये तो हिंदी में, that's just the same in Hindi. Very good. Excellent. Absolutely. Wonderful. So now, I don't know, would anyone like to try for next time this rest of the sentence as a homework? Because after all, this is a class and not just an entertainment session, right? So you could try this as a homework. We'll send it to you afterwards. Yes. And you try it as a homework. Don't worry if you don't get it perfectly, but try it as a homework using the charts we have sent you. Okay? All right. So let us finish here. Yes, please. Yes.
The previous paras as well, the one which we did earlier.
No, just this story here.
I was saying, can you share them as well, so that?
Oh yes. Sure. I'll send the rest to you as well. Sure.
And also, if possible, for the next class, whatever text we are going to do, if we can share that, we can take a printout and start noting down during the class itself.
I know, but this is where my lack of Kriya Shakti is the problem. You see, that I prepare these texts yesterday evening, Okay. While my family have tea, I take the laptop and I say, oh my goodness, I still need to prepare tomorrow's class. And then I sit there without a real will. No, Icha is there, but not the Kriya Shakti, right? I sit there and I prepare the class. So
it's okay. It's more creative that way.
Just take a snapshot then and share that snapshot will be great. It's just that it will be great to note down the things as we are doing. So it's registers easy.
Okay, let me try.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Hari Om, everyone. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Have a very good Sunday, Hari Om. Thank you.
Can you spare a couple of minutes, Acharya ji?
Can I do what?
Do you have a couple of minutes? I just have the doubt on the Raga Dvesh again.
Sure, but everyone else is free to leave, okay? The class is over. Please don't think the class is still active. Yeah? Please, go ahead, yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
So when you mentioned Raga Dvesh Vega, I understood in the sense of the meaning, the hatred, but when you mentioned just aversion, in the yogic way you were trying to say, you were saying, so can you elaborate on that? Because I'm a bit confused in that word, the combined word now.
Okay, so it's really quite simple, but that simplicity becomes very complex as well. It is really that if you observe your inner structure of experience, the way you experience the world, if you observe that for a moment, you will realize that every instant there is a like or a dislike in a very subtle way. There is some like or some dislike. For instance, I have a cough right now. And this is probably from the pollen. I hope it is not COVID, otherwise you won't see me next time. Siddharji has to take over then, which will be good for you because he is a better teacher than I am by far. But you see, so there is a automatic, there's an automatic aversion towards this condition. Naturally, it is like inborn into my system, isn't it? That I don't want to have the cough. And I know, sorry?
Is it not like not accepting whatever that
yes,
comes?
Exactly, not accepting. Dvesha means not accepting, exactly.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now I think I'm able to put it together. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But so you see, the problem with the mother tongue is that the mother tongue influences you so much that you just have this sense of raga dvesh that you know what it is. That's why you have to unlearn it and relearn it when you see it from the yogic scriptures or the spiritual scriptures. And now raga is the opposite of that. Automatically, every moment of my experience, there will be either a liking of the experience or a disliking of the experience. So now we have had a fun class. I enjoyed the class. And now after the class is over, this little rasa, this enjoyment that we had will be over. And I have to go downstairs. Tripuraji's father and family are here because it was her birthday. So now I think, oh no, I need to talk to these people. Sort of our in-laws. I have to spend my whole afternoon with them when in fact I would rather do sadhana. This is actually true. I would rather do sadhana. She knows, isn't it?
Acharya
I
ji.
hope you're not watching with them. Okay, no.
Excuse me, Acharya ji.
Yes.
How will we know the meanings of the other words that is in the paragraph?
You can use the dictionary, spokensanskrit.org.
Okay.
So she just came up because she was watching, so she heard what I said. So you see that there's this natural, I would rather do sadhana rather than going down and spending the whole afternoon just talking. You understand? So, but you see, Mahalakshmiji, there is an automatic switch from raga, liking this class, because this is dharma for me, right? We are sharing some auspicious thing. There's an automatic switch. The moment I will press the button end, my mind will switch to dvesha. You see? This is the duality of raga dvesha. Automatically. So this is not a, and this is so subtle. But now this same raga dvesha duality, it becomes very solid, very sort of sthula, we call this, very solid in the outer world when you like and dislike other people. And the basis of that like and dislike towards other people turns into karmas, you see? Now, me liking this class or not, or disliking the afternoon, this doesn't necessarily turn into a karma, but it is called a vasana still. It's a vasana. Vasana means a deep impression in my mind, raga vasana, dvesha vasana. And this is also still samsara. It will not take me out of samsara. But the outer, very gross sort of raga dvesha turns into karmas, you see. If you have raga dvesha, if you have an attachment towards certain beings and a aversion towards others, this turns into karma. That means, if not in this life, in the next life, that very raga and dvesha will turn into a new experience for you. It will turn into a new outer experience. So now you think that your children, and of course it is like that, Vedant is your darling, but you see our scriptures tell us that it could be, I'm just joking here, and I don't want to take the example too far. Let me take my own example. Amar could have been, in my last life, he could have been my father. Or he could have been my best friend, or worse, he could have been my enemy. There was a great yogi in Tibet. He died in 1904, and he said that with his divya drishti, his higher perception from yoga, he realized that the son who was born to him was actually really his enemy in his last life. And this son was born to him, and that son obstructed all his spiritual progress. So he said he had to leave his house. He left his wife and son, and he went to the caves and meditated, and he attained a great state of realization. Then he realized this was my enemy in the last life. So then he had to go back and he had to create peace with his son and with his family. So you see, this is very subtle. Raga Dvesha is very subtle, and it's also very concrete outside. Does that help you?
Yes,
Acharyaji,
Yes.
Acharyaji, for your own mukti, please enjoy your afternoon.
I have to. You see, I have to. So let me go into my Dvesha with great peace. Hari Om.
Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad,
Hari
Devi
Om.
Shu.
Hari Om, Acharya ji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
All the best.
Thank you. I need it. Hari Om.